everybody, Ali Akbarian, your resident road safety expert from Mobility Engineering, back again for another Q&A. Thank you very much for sending in those questions. We love those questions and keep them coming in. And as I always say with my trusty subscribe pillow, hit the button that looks a little bit like that. We're just over 300 subscribers, so thanks very much, team. Keep hitting that button and let's get us to 1,000 subscribers. We'd love your support around that, and then we'll get rid of this pillow as well and come up with something new. All right, so let's get into today's question. So today's question comes out from our OT community. Thank you very much to our lovely OT community. Basically, I have a patient who is a wheelchair user who is 12 years old, and I'm encouraging the family to modify their vehicle for the future. So the only issue is this family are a rural family that live on a rural property, and the only way they can transport around is a 4-wheel drive. So they typically use a Toyota Land Cruiser or something similar. And they're basically asking, is there any options for wheelchair users for these types of vehicles, like Toyota Land Cruisers? Because typically the wheelchair vans, which is like something like I've got here, like a Caddy or something like that, it just won't work on their property. It just doesn't operate because of the rural nature of their property. So is there options for 4-wheel drives? And yes, there is options for 4-wheel drives. They're not your traditional cut out of the floor options, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through an innovative way of basically having like a wheelchair conversion. So in a 4-wheel drive, one of the issues is you can't cut the vehicle through the back because of it's quite complex. You've got a lot of drivetrain and 4-wheel drive, I guess, componentry under there, fuel tanks and so on. So the cutting of a vehicle and dropping it and having like a ramp and all that kind of stuff is almost impossible on those vehicles. So what we would recommend, and which has been done multiple times, particularly with Land Cruisers, is to install a swivel seat with a wheelchair functionality option, which I'm going to demonstrate to you guys now. So what we have here is a swivel seat, and this particular car is a Volkswagen Caddy, which is a van, but this same swivel seat has been installed in multiple Toyota Land Cruisers and Prados. We've actually got some videos of them as well, which either have been launched or will come out in terms of one that's in a Prado, and the Prado works out really, really nicely on this particular seat. So the thing with this seat is that it swivels out, right, and it comes out and it drops down. Now this particular wheelchair user, there was more information in that email, and what they were saying was this particular user needs upper body supports, and in some cases it will in the future need some harness support, so we need to consider that as well. So what we have here is we have the Turney Evo product, which I'm sure most of the community is very, very familiar with. But if you're not, it's basically a wonderful swivel seat, electric swivel seat that comes out and it drops down. So in the case of a 4-wheel drive, we have the ability to actually drop down and come very close to the ground, because the 4-wheel drive is going to sit a lot higher than this car, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is this particular seat is a medically approved and designed seat. So what you have, this is called a BEV seat, and what you have is the ability to remove all of these covers, and basically you have multiple support and harness options that you can choose from a catalogue that will go with this seat. So depending on the type of supports and harnesses they would need, this particular child would need, you basically option up your seats and you add them to your quote, and then you basically get that fitted onto the seat, right? So imagine whatever harness supports you need, you have the ability to get those supports with this particular seat. So then, what do we do as a wheelchair user? So we've got a couple of options here. In this particular case, if I'm sitting in this seat and I have the ability to transfer, I may be able to lift the arm up and transfer over, right? That's a potential option there. However, we also have the ability to innovate this product into an actual wheelchair function as well. So what we have here is we have a couple of options, and I'll demonstrate to you how that works. So this particular Turney seat actually can dock into this frame here, and it can convert it into a wheelchair functionality. So if I drop this down a little bit like so, and I'll demonstrate how that works, and we can click that in. We just need to adjust it a little bit. Nice easy click in system, and then basically what we do is we transfer the occupant out like that, slide it onto the wheelchair, and then we undo that like so. Now I'll just turn this sideways so you can see what we're doing here. Now what we have here is two different options of a wheelchair. So you've got a self-propelled wheelchair with a self-propelled option, Or again, I can remove those wheels and I can put smaller wheels, and I can option it up with a handle at the back. So it could be a care assist wheelchair. So it could be a wheelchair that you might have a carer that's basically transporting them around. Another option is you can actually also have a fully optioned up electric wheelchair. So I'll just put this back in place, and when I'm back in the car, I basically just put the occupant back like so, and I take my base away. But I've also got the option to install an electric base. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to ask you to excuse my poor driving skills, because I'm just trying to figure out how to drive this. Obviously with a little bit of practice you'll be probably a lot better than I would, but I actually don't think I'm doing too bad at the moment. So this would be your electric option to allow for even more independence, like so, and then we would basically just transfer that like so, and then we would do the same thing. Okay, so once it's here in the electric version, basically all we do is we just release the clutch, and basically we just pull up these handles, we release our wheelchair, and we basically engage the motor back on, and what we have is a fully electric wheelchair with full electric functionality, basically with all the controllers, just like a normal wheelchair, basically, electric wheelchair. So as you can see with this particular functionality, you have 3 different wheelchair options that you can have in a 4-wheel drive with the swivel seat that connects into it. The seat itself can also have multiple variations of harnesses and supports that can be installed onto it, and basically, yeah, it allows for a lot of different forms of transport, and it allows you to do it in a 4-wheel drive, which means you can use it on that rural property. And yeah, that's basically it. So, and when we dock it back in, we just click it back in, put the seat back on, put the button, and it goes all the way back in, and away it goes. So this is a wonderful wheelchair user option for 4-wheel drive users and rural basically users. So hopefully that helps with your inquiry. Thanks very much for sending that through. As we always say, hit that subscribe button down there. Love your support to get to that 1,000 subscribers. Keep those questions coming in, and see you next time.